Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome. House Divided. Orange was live. I'm Jeff Ketchum. That is Chad Hastings. We want you to like, comment, subscribe to the page as we get ready to ruffle some Oklahoma feathers here in a second. Jump into the Specs chat. Jump in. The water's warm. Do your thing. Like we're going to have a good time today. Super chatted up. I do have to be hard out by 1 for me today because of another commitment that I have in the greater downtown area that's a little bit away from the Ketchum crib or wherever it is, the fortress here in the Woodlands. Guys, we're talking OU today, and I want to fess up to something, Chad, at the very beginning.
Yes.
It's a clickbait show.
Oh no. Damn it.
We last year did one OU show in the spring. We did one earlier this spring. It's a Wednesday in May.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't a whole hell of a lot going on.
Fair.
And I was just reading Cody Carpentier's Behind Enemy Lines column on Orange Bloods today.
What's up, Cody?
Shout out to Mr. Carpentier for giving us the show content that we desperately needed. And the picture that was painted was so bleak to me that I had a visceral reaction of like, ugh. Is it worse in Norman than I already think it is? So I called Chad up, or Chad called me up, and we were talking about the show. And I honestly thought that the best way to kind of describe where I'm at today, thinking about why we're doing this show, because I think there's a piece of context that if placed properly inside of, it properly explains what it is that we're talking about on the show. Chad, you want to tell them the question that you asked me?
I asked you this is before I had a chance to dig into Cody's article, but I asked you, I said, okay.
Yeah, it wasn't a loaded question. It was
correct. This was one of those, it was like partially for me.
It was very sincere, I thought.
Yeah, but it was also partially for the people, our fans that I know are Texas fans, and I know they like to keep up with, keep the friends close and enemies closer. So I thought, okay, based on how you're feeling about OU, give me a quick comparison, contrast with the Aggies. And you did.
Yeah, Chad was like, so you think they're like on par with the Aggies? And I don't remember exactly what I said, but it was a form of, shit, no, Chad, no. And then I explained, Texas A&M is at the party. I actually used a uglier sister metaphor that I actually kind of felt, and I felt I had been insulting, and I wasn't trying to insult Chad, but as soon as it came out of my mouth, I was like, oh, it's insulting. But the point that I was getting across is that, dude, A&M has got guys from all over the country looking at Texas A&M, and they'll get some in the most, they could be bridesmaids or second runners up, but they're in the game. Right? What I wouldn't say about A&M is that they're hard up for recruiting attention. They're at the party. They're not the sexiest woman at the party, but Texas A&M is getting dates and like nobody's looking at their dates and going, God, they're really having to lower their standards in College Station these days from 2022. It's like, no, actually, they're not. They're not getting as many of those guys, but they're still getting them on campus. Elko does a really impressive job of making A&M, especially nationally. They're recruiting better outside the state of Texas than they are inside the state of Texas, but they are super relevant. Oklahoma is not. And one of the stats that Cody had in the Behind Enemy Lines article that really
Sandman
kind of lined it up, man. It was
How dare you, Sandman? How dare
Oklahoma has one top 20 kid in the state of Oklahoma committed.
you. Oof.
They've got, I think, one inside the Texas State top 50. He mentioned that one of those might be close to peeling off. They just lost one of their top wide receiver targets in the 2026 recruiting class to SMU. You know, a year ago, they really only got Michael Fasusi. We've talked about it over the course of the last 3 years. They've only been able to pull through a total of 3 super blue chip prospects combined in the last 2 cycles. And this is not at anywhere near a nationally, that's even below the standards that a Tom Herman or even a Charlie Strong were producing. If remember that chart that I did, Chad, that would show like Texas sitting around 8 or 9 or 10, but then boom, up it goes to 20. And it's like, oh, wow. It's kind of, and they weren't even at 10. Venables is kind of, I think he's kind of where Tom Herman was in 2020. I think recruiting is completely out of Venables' control. Not that he ever had it. They are not just shopping in a different playpen than the Georgias and the Alabamas and the Texases and even the Texas A&Ms of the world right now in the portal. Although, to be fair, Oklahoma did get one of the top quarterback portal targets that was in this year's portal. You have to at least acknowledge that they did get Mateer, but you know, I don't want to turn this into a how good is Mateer debate. We'll see. But the rest of this program is declining in talent. It doesn't seem like they've got NIL money. They brought in a general manager that specializes in kind of targeting under the radar small school players. And suddenly in recruiting, they're not. And you know, one of the things I said about Venables early on in his tenure is, and I even said this now, they plan well. He has good recruiting, head coach recruiting instincts. Historically, they've been able to get a lot of guys on campus. We would talk about Caden Durham, who ends up signing with LSU 2 cycles ago. But one of the things I had said about that recruitment was that if you're OU, man, you got that kid on campus like 8 times. What more could you do? I wanted Texas to get Caden Durham on campus once. And OU got him on campus 8 times. They weren't able to close the deal, but Venables has all kinds of creative ways of getting these kids to come back to campus over and over and over again. They're not and haven't been closing those deals, but now those recruiting visits and like the star power has declined. And I don't know who Michael Fasusi is this year for them. This is not a year where they are a super viable threat, I think, for Texas in recruiting. So what the hell are we supposed to make out of Oklahoma? They have to know, Chad. They do. Just like Texas administrators were like, crap, man. Are you paying attention to Tommy Brockermeyer? Are you paying attention to Quinn Ewers? Recruiting, we might be 7-3 good in a top 20 level team on the field, but all of this is not conducive for us to be eventually playing for championships. This is better than destitute, but it is not better than we can't be comfortable in this. And I don't know, man. I understand. It's hard being a fan, Chad. It's short for fanatic. And I get that Oklahoma fans, it's no fun. Look, you and I covered Texas football 2016, 2013, 2020. You know, we know what it looks like when the basketball team this past year, where it's, is he going to keep his job? Wait a minute. What if he makes the turn? What if he wins a game? And what if he wins 2 games in the tournament? Does that make you forget all the other games? Like that was the entire college basketball season last year for Texas. And it just sucks. It is such a beating to have to watch every game through the prism of, is that going to help get rid of him? Is that what I want? Oh, they're winning. Wait a minute. I'm not supposed to cheer for this, but no, I don't want to not cheer for my team. Like, it's such a beating to kind of be in that spot. It is where Oklahoma fans are. They need a reset button in the biggest way because Brent Venables is not getting this thing done. This is not where they need to be. This isn't where they would need to be if they were still in the Big 12. This is where they are right now in the SEC. I got to be honest. This is laughing stock material on the football side of things. This is not, and so many of the other sports that they have are SEC ready. Football almost could not be more inadequately prepared for the challenge that's in front of them right now than where they are right now. And I will never, boy, they ought to build a statue for Michael Fasusi right now, Chad. Build his ass a statue because that kid chose Oklahoma for the love of that school, and he wanted to go to school with his buddy, and he valued the relationships at Oklahoma a little bit more than the ones at Texas. It's the stupidest football decision that I think a marquee 5-star should be a first-round draft pick, NFL-type player. It's a bad one. He hitched his wagon to a program in decline. And I think in the end, I wonder, we'll see. I bet there's no Michael Fasusi in this year's class. They're not big-time kids, have sniffed Oklahoma out, and they're just not they're not at the party in a way that even Texas A&M is. And I think that should be the reality. Because OU does not want to be compared to Texas A&M. That's not who they think the bar is. But OU, you are not remotely close right now to being Texas A&M. You're not. So marinate on that. And the rest of us can just kind of sit here dismayed, Chad, because I didn't think this would be this. I didn't think when the announcement was made that Oklahoma couldn't be Tennessee. But I don't know right now. Some of this is about their schedule, but some of this really is about how they're acquiring personnel, what suddenly the viable, available personnel looks like. And they should not be losing recruiting battles to SMU. Shouldn't be.
We got a super chat from Barb's 10. We are going to get to that. If you guys want to throw us a chat, please feel free. Also, we will be thanking our good partners as we roll through the show, like Hayes City Store. Always feeling hungry when we're thinking about Hayes City Store. Incredible food. I'll show you some great images. First one, just a good relaxing image under that tree. Always a good place to be. The other images, it's the good food. How about some chicken fried steak? How about their famous enchiladas? How about burgers? How about pizza? How about the amazing frozen margarita flights? How about a great whiskey drink? How about all the great beers they have on tap out there in the Ice House? So many great options to check out at Hayes City Store. FM 150 out in Driftwood. Tell them we sent you. Tell them you heard about it on Orange Bloods Live. We would appreciate it. All right. So it is Barb.
Confession before we go to the super chat.
Yeah.
I have never had enchiladas
in your life?
In my life.
Wow. That is a bizarre fact.
Put the full screen picture of the enchiladas back up.
You have never in your life consumed enchiladas of any type.
Because that's beans, right?
That they would be beef enchiladas. I mean, there's beans on that plate, but those are beef enchiladas.
Like, what is on top of what's the brown stuff on the tortillas?
That is you got the cheese and then like kind of a meat sauce.
Oh, I always thought those were beans.
No. The beans are in the back at the right. And then you got rice and beans at the back. No, it's like a meat sauce and cheese.
You know how like there are beans and some people put beans in their chili.
Yeah, I got you.
Until just now, literally at this very moment, I've just always thought that the mess had beans throughout.
That is so weird. You've never had enchiladas.
I've never had enchiladas.
That is so bizarre.
Never, not even like a bite.
That's crazy.
Not like I haven't had a plate. I've never taken a bite.
Never a bite of enchiladas. Okay. The
now
fact that you went to McCallum and the Dart Bowl enchiladas. I was about to say the Dart Bowl enchiladas are some of my favorite enchiladas I've ever had, and you never had them. That's crazy.
I knew as soon as you said the fact that I knew as soon as you said the fact that you went to McCallum, I knew where that was going.
Right, exactly. All right, I know where this is going. Barb's 10 with our first super chat of the day. Thank you, Barb's. So OU gets a quarterback too. Optics is Texas shopped at the Five Below and OU shopped at the Dollar Tree. Catch looks good, so let the haters hate. Okay, a little side comment there for Catch at the end. I agree with you on that, Barb's. What about the quarterback thing, Catch? You just mentioned OU did get a quarterback in the portal. Not just, well, they got Mateer, but then didn't they just recently kind of do what Texas did with a backup quarterback too out of the portal?
I don't know. I stopped paying attention to these dudes. And if I was an OU fan, I don't know that I'd be paying attention to the kid from Troy that Texas just picked up. They're bigger fish to fry than that. But they did pick up Mateer.
And I think they picked up a dude who was at a school that Bama and Auburn like to play in November. Mercer. That's the only time I've ever heard of that school. But
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I think
Mateer is the guy that matters, at least in the immediate short-term future. He's some form of Diego Pavia. He's a guy that I think rushed for over about 800 yards last year at Washington State. So he is a guy, and even in games like against Texas Tech, where he was below 50% throwing the football and not effective in that department at all, he still had the ability to pick up some yards. So I'm not saying it's apple for apple, but he does give you a scramble run threat. And, I quite frankly think if they try to ask that kid to run for 800 yards in the SEC, he will be broken in half at some point. You have to choose your battles. And I don't know that guy, I don't know that he's 800-yard rushing quarterback guy in the SEC. That needs to look a certain kind of way, or you end up looking like Colt McCoy in the NFL when James Harrison is on the field. Like,
there's no need to go that far. There's
no, but I mean, there are times when it's like, dude, you are no longer in the Big 12. Get down.
Yeah, that's true.
And sometimes you learn the hard way that, Washington State and Wyoming is not the same thing as Oklahoma and Georgia.
Yeah. And they're bringing the OC from Washington State too, right?
Yeah, like, look, I think if that guy went into the right situation, maybe he could be good. He's not Dylan Gabriel from a couple of years ago. He's not that good. Mm-hmm. He really struggles throwing the football against good teams. Not a Power 4 competition a year ago. His last game against Wyoming at home is not good. They only scored, I think, 14 points offensively in that game. It's like, I'm not saying the guy can't be good, but what I would tell OU fans is if that guy can't be the savior in his final game in Pullman at home against Wyoming, and look, I'm not going to crap on Wyoming. We saw Wyoming come to Austin and give Texas a tussle. But full context late in the season, final game, that should be when you're peaking as a player. It's not early September coming off of, the Alabama game and everything that was going on around that. I just think that guy has a lot to prove. And I think the talent surrounding him at Oklahoma isn't what we know the talent historically to be. And so, And some of the best moves they've made in the offseason, the wide receiver, the best wide receiver that they brought in, the kid, I think, from Arkansas Pine Bluff, that was by far and away their best guy, and a guy that they were really liking in spring. He's hurt, broken leg. It's just they can't catch a break, no pun intended. And
and you're also
I think the best thing that could happen for them, Chad, is this thing just bottoms out. And they can hit the reset button, and then they have to get the hire right. They can't hire an assistant coach. They cannot do any version of the Bob Stoops, Lincoln Riley, Brent Venables hire. I know that has worked for them in the past. They got to get a guarantee on the box. They got to find somebody that guaranteed elevates them from a recruiting standpoint. They can take no chances. They've allowed themselves with the Venables hire. Look, we've seen Texas make hires. We know what it looks like when you make a hire and it's so bad, it sets you back almost a decade. We've seen it. We've seen it. We saw the end of the Mac Brown era start to peter out. They hired Charlie Strong, who, what have I said about Brent Venables? He's White Charlie. He's a guy that is 5-7. Maybe he can get to like a 6-6 season or a 6-7, or he can get to a bowl game and lose it. He is going to leave that program in worse shape than he got it. And when he was hired, it needed help. And now it's in the position where you bring in a guy like Tom Herman, and that is not going to be add water instant powerhouse. It is just, you got to hire somebody. And you know what? If there's a Steve Sarkisian out there, I guess, that is an assistant coach but has been a head coach, you got to hire somebody that you know guarantees you the ability to enhance your talent acquisition. And if they don't get that right, they're done for the rest of the decade. We will just stop doing shows on Oklahoma. We're not there yet. There's still an interesting story. This collapse that I think they're in the middle of is interesting now. But after they get rid of Venables, they make that next hire. If they get that wrong, Chad, they're Nebraska. They will fall into the abyss, and it will take something completely radical, such as what Steve Sarkisian's been able to do in the last few years with just the ability to add super blue chip and elite level talent to the roster constantly at such a rapid rate that in the span of a few years, you've caught up to Ohio State and Georgia. That's the type of game changing. They need somebody who's an elite coach who can be an elite recruiter. And they don't live in the Big 12 anymore. They can't make mistakes and still get by. You can't. Mistakes and average and adequate leaves you at 6-6 and 7-5 and the bastard in the family of that conference. And I would tell Oklahoma, man, you better have a plan. Whoever it is, whatever it is, I think you have one chance now. And if you get it wrong, you're going to be chasing your tail for a long time.
All right. Coming up, I'm going to look at the OU schedule, and we're going to try to save Venable's job in 2025. We're going to try to save his job coming up, but we do have a super chat from Dirkley, slightly off topic, but we'll see if we can handle it. Dirkley, $4.99. What do you think Texas's record would be if Sam came back for an extra year? Wow, Dirkley has a weirdly specific thought on his mind today. If Sam came back for an extra year.
Well, how many games is Sam going to miss?
Damn. Dirkley, you did ask the question.
I mean, do we need to put that Chris Bennett? You know what we need to do with Chris?
Oh, no.
We need to copy and paste Chris Bennett's stat
Right.
and then throw it into our admin on our side, Chad.
Right.
So that every time a question like that gets asked, we just pop that up there, and it doesn't seem like we're being smug.
Right. Somebody else's number. Right. Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, Sam did stay healthy 1 year. But in that 1 year that he stayed healthy, he got beat to death.
Yes.
He was so walking wounded in the 1 year, 2019, that he stayed completely healthy. And, you know, I think they're a 7-5 type team. You know, that was a bad football team, but I do think you're getting a little bit more out of it. They win more. They do win more games, certainly. But yeah. I don't think it changes a lot. Instead of it being the work, but the thing is, that season, the stink on that's kind of gone, Chad. So the one good thing about that 5-7 season is it pretty quickly, it could have just as easily have been a 7-5. You know, it really is the Beverly Hills Cop 2 Gilbert Gottfried. Is there something that I can put in your left hand that will make you forget about that thing that's in your right hand? And it really feels like start of the 2023 season or 2024 season.
Damn, CB. Reminding us Sam got hurt in the Alamo Bowl. Yes, you're right. You're right. You're right.
Like I said, Chris, how many games is he going to miss? Like,
yeah, I forgot about that. I forgot about that fact.
I think that, what the hell were we just saying, Chad? That last comment threw me off.
I'm terribly sorry. Just Sam Ellinger. If Sam was back.
No, that wasn't what I'd moved on from that. And then that comment took us back. I don't know. It wasn't that important.
You moved on.
You were going to go through the OU schedule though, and try to get us to save a job.
So if they won 6 last year, what does let's go totals. Let's total wins.
Is there an OU fan in the chat that can answer the question of how many wins does Venables legitimately need?
Right. Like, but before we start looking at the schedule, what's the number? If he gets 6 again,
let us know. Like, be honest.
Right. Is that not good enough? And you'd have to move on.
Is it 8, 9? I know it's not 10.
No, we can't. No, I wouldn't be. There's no way it would be 10.
9, I think you know what? 9, I'd let him keep the job.
I might do it for 8.
I'm not doing it for 8 because at that point, what I really know is that the infrastructure building issue is it's what Texas knew in 2020. Texas finishes that year 19th in the country. Is the best ranked finish that Texas had as a program, second best in more than a decade. And yet they made the move because I think they knew like it was fine. The season was fine, but that's not the bar. So I would hope that 8, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to make it 9, I don't even know if we need to look at the schedule.
Well, let's look at the schedule.
I mean, it's, Illinois. Okay. The wins early. They're going to beat Illinois State, you would assume, to start the season.
Hold on. Michelle, you are not alone. You're not. There's a lot of alcohol consumption.
Yeah. Yeah, Michelle probably means it that way, not like redacted, not like she draws a line through.
No, I assume that Michelle is saying
she blacked out.
That there was a 7 or 8 year window that she just doesn't remember.
She started drinking right after a certain coin toss, and she woke up right after like a double bird, like somewhere in there.
The moment Charlie forgot how to operate the coin toss in the UCLA game.
That was important, yeah.
It was also in that game that we learned that Charlie can't count by intervals of 40. At least with regards to how that works inside of time. Like, I'm fully confident that Charlie can sit here and go 40, 80, 120, 160. You know what I mean? I think he can count intervals of 40, but it's a little more difficult when it's involving the clock. Because, well, what's 40, 40? What's 40 plus 40? It's 80. But in time, if you said, Charlie, what's 40 seconds plus 40 seconds? I mean, I still don't think he knows the answer to that question. So
I'm not sure either. So then if you stretch that, if Michelle was out for all that time, then when does Michelle wake back up? Does she wake up like?
Oh, Ben. Full context. What I said is that when Charlie Strong was at Louisville, he was a developing rock star because he took 2-star and 3-star talent at Louisville and developed them into NFL players at the rate of 4- and 5-star talents. And he took 4-star talents and got them at the end of the NFL at the rate of 5-star talents. It is insanely impressive to see a 4 or 5 year window it's kind of like the thing that Gary Patterson, you'd look at in the very best of Gary Patterson, you would just, where the hell how did they put 12 kids in the NFL draft? And then you would look at the recruiting classes and go, they got that out of that? So when I called Charlie Strong a rock star, I said it in the context of, and I'm still not wrong, he was a developing rock star while he was at Louisville. There was nothing about anything he ever did at Texas that was rock starish, ever.
Ben, thank you for jumping in.
Quote, all my stuff on Orange Bloods is chronicled. It's all archived.
Yeah, look, we can't have a graphic with a sad Venables and the sad Sooner kid and end up talking Charlie and Tom. We can't do that too much. Please do not send us down that pathway. We can't do it. Plus, we got to get Catch out of here by 1. So, 199 super chat. ATX Bates, would you take Dion or Dion over Venables to save OU? Catch.
I don't know that Dion would save Oklahoma, but he's an upgrade of Brent Venables, if for no other reason that he's doing at Colorado right now. Really, what Venables has a heart like. Dion already has had Felix Ojo on campus for an official visit.
Right. I was going to say, and he would have Fasusi theoretically in that world, which could help.
Yeah, no, I don't know that Dion's elite, but Dion does help Oklahoma answer the question of how do we attract elite level talent. So, yes, I would. Bye.
Yeah. Bates, thank you for that. If y'all want to throw us a super chat, feel free. Let's give a little shout out to Texas Card House. You see their name at the top of the screen each and every show. And we also flash this up for you. hijackpoker.com. You can play online poker if you're in the great state of Texas. And if you scan that QR code, get the app, put it on whatever device you want, and then you're playing. Deposit all kinds of different ways, and you can deposit and cash out at one of the 6 Texas Card House locations. Shout out to the TCH crowd and Hijack Poker. You might end up at a virtual table with that guy right there. Never know. You never know. Catch, I watched Rounders this week. It's one of my guilty pleasure movies. If I see it on, I have to watch. So I sat through Rounders again this week.
What's your favorite thing about Rounders?
Oh God, my favorite.
You're not a poker player.
I am not a poker player.
And it is. Poker players love that movie.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by just kind of the whole world of it. I just think it's set up really well. And I'm a fan of the main 3, what I would consider the main 3 actors of that movie. Matt Damon, John Turturro, and Malkovich. Love all 3 of those guys. I think they're all great. I think they're all great in the movie.
I mean,
and the what's her name? Gretchen Mol is really good. She's magnetically good looking. But I really dig the story. And Edward Norton. I mean, obviously,
yes, Ed freaking Norton, Chad.
Edward Norton is in the movie, and he's fantastic.
The 3 standout characters and actors in that movie. I'm like waiting for Norton to come out of your mouth.
Right. I said for me, those are 3 guys I really love. It's not that I don't love Edward Norton. It's just
Ed
like
Norton's
those are the 3
star
guys
in that movie
that always stand out. Edward Norton is terrific in that movie. He's great.
He's a bigger star in that movie. Who was the second guy? Turturro. He's a bigger, more important.
Right.
Like, so I'm just saying, as a Rounders fan, how dare you slight Ed Norton on your personal rankings list? I know it's subjective, and I know it came from your heart, and it's not for me to say your heart is wrong, but
actually it is. Yeah. I've known you long enough. We've done shows long enough. It is your place to
your
tell
heart and soul is wrong.
My heart, my soul, and any and all opinions are up for being wrong.
It's science, though, on this one.
I have absolutely learned that over.
I'm just saying, it's Ed Norton, the Hulk. That guy became a superhero, a Marvel superhero. That's how big he was.
That is how big he was. Ironic that you would use that movie to then somehow extra.
Well, no, I'm just trying to emphasize he's a big deal.
He is a big deal.
He's a big enough deal that they were like, he should be a superhero.
Yes,
they were wrong, but that's what they once said.
ATX Bates, I apologize if you, like Ketch, were offended by my comments on Rounders.
You know what? I accept your apology because I didn't realize that I needed the apology until you said it. And then I was like, okay, now we're good.
I really didn't mean it as a rip on Edward Norton. I swear. I will rip Edward Norton for the Hulk movie. I will not rip him for anything else. He is a world-class actor. And if we're going to be honest, he might be the best actor in Rounders. And that's saying a lot.
He's great in Rounders.
And that says a lot because there's a lot of heavy hitters.
And Teddy, look, Malkovich is the best thing in Rounders. No offense to anybody else, but I wonder how much we love that movie if Teddy KGB is not a real character, or if somebody else is in that role and they swing and miss, because what he does with Teddy KGB is a one of one. I'm just not sure that in the hands of anybody else it's anywhere near as good. And I will literally stop what I'm doing to watch that man play with his Oreos as soon as it starts happening on camera.
Yes, as can happen. Weird path. I like Rounders. Shout out to Texas Card House.
Yes. I bet you they love it. And you know what? Everybody at Texas Card House, they stopped playing poker. You know they're listening to the show right now. They stopped every hand at every Texas Card House location as soon as they heard you slight Ed Norton.
Yes. That's right. That was my intent, to rip on Ed Norton. That was my
you
goal.
didn't mean to rip him. You just slighted him. It's not the same thing.
Right. I slighted him because he didn't fit into my.
You didn't even list him fourth. You were like, and then there was Gretchen Mol was kind of charming in that movie as well. And I was like, wait a minute, we just got a Gretchen Mol shout out. And yes, I suppose as like the sad sack girlfriend, yes, she's fine in that movie, but Jesus, she's in like two scenes. Ed Norton is literally at the center of the whole thing.
The movie review portion of the show is over. If you're interested, Specs has a tequila sale, and I need half a bottle.
It's tequila time. Who's ready for a margarita? Shake things up all month long with discounts on Blancos, Reposados, and Añejo tequila during Specs Tequila Sale.
All right. I do not see any super chats right now. There are a couple of chats we may hit.
Unlike enchiladas, Chad, have had tequila.
Tequila, yes. Enchiladas, no.
You know what I tend to find about tequila? Kind of overrated as like a punch in the gut. I found as someone who's not a hardcore drinker that it's the same as everything else. Back in the day in my 20s and 30s, when you would put 151 in some of your drinks, you would just find that, you know what, all things considered, tequila's okay, like straight. Like people are like, they make faces. I think about in the Three Amigos when they take the shots and everything. It does kind of make you just go, but like that's about it. But you know what? That's not the only. I would say try some 151 and rumplement with some Tabasco sauce, you get the same effect.
Okay. So you're not saying obviously that 151 and tequila are the same thing. You're saying 151 is a better option for that.
No, I'm saying, people treat tequila like they should be in fear of it sometimes.
Oh, right.
Whenever shots of tequila come out, there are people who will go, whoa, I can't do tequila. And I'm saying, no, you can. It's a perfectly viable, just straight shot. And it's really not any worse than any of the other crap we take as far as shots go. Trust me, I've had worse. My old shot was called a 5-star General. It was 151 Rumpelmint, Goldschlager, tequila, and did I say 151 yet? 151 Goldschlager, tequila. I'm forgetting something.
Rumpelmints. Jaeger.
Yeah. It is a beastly shot. And I'm just saying, compared to something like that, tequila, easy. Give it to me.
Yeah, Ben agrees with you. The only tequila I fear is cheap tequila, Ben. Got to be careful on the cheap tequila. But other than that.
Am I wrong? I mean, isn't tequila a shot that people get a little weird about?
Yes, it can be.
Don't they need limes and stuff? It's like, dude, put the lime away. Just drink it.
Right. If you got good tequila, you don't need anything else. If it's good, smooth tequila, you don't need anything else.
Again, I think the key is if you drink enough garbage really early in life, you can do anything at that point.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
No?
Catch, earlier in the show, someone chatted a very philosophical question that I think only you can answer. So maybe on behalf of all the fans, Sean would like to know, is it better to see sad Sooners or sad Aggies?
Sean, I think that is a wholly personal deal. Because look, as somebody that grew up in the 80s, and I was a Baylor football fan originally. So Baylor could beat Texas, but they couldn't beat A&M. Really. They beat them one time in 85, and the game still talked about. But for the most part, A&M did a number on Texas and Baylor when I was in my formative years. And then I got into college. And my freshman year in college was the Leland McElroy Don't Kick It to Him game. And then my second year in college, my first year in television was the 95 game. And I watched that from the field. Like, it was just A&M was beating A&M in those years mattered more than beating Oklahoma. And I think there are people my age who are 45, maybe to 60, who see it exactly that way. I know people in my age group hate the Aggies, but they've been so inconsequential for really most of the last quarter century for Texas, other than occasionally playing a spoiler role, that there's an entire generation of Texas fans that just don't know A&M impacting their lives the way Texas A&M did for most of, my teen years into my 20s. So I think it really does, I think, come down to how old you are. I think anybody under the age of 40 is going to say Oklahoma. I think there is an older window, and I hate that I'm in it, but I can't help it that my life experience is my life experience, and it's currently dating me. It takes me back to the days of old man Black Santa Chad, who joins us on the show during the football season.
Brian Jones.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I can't help it. Like, that's what it takes me back to. And Brian, I think I'd be interested to hear what Brian would say about that. Because, they routinely beat Oklahoma when Brian was there.
Yeah.
But it feels like that A&M game in 90, of all the games, that's the game that gets talked about.
Yeah. For the former players, it just kind of depends a lot of times on what was their record against the two teams.
Yeah.
It'll boil down to that. If they controlled one and didn't control the other, it's that other one that they're going to tell you they hate more.
But Brian went in a window where Texas weirdly dominated Oklahoma when it shouldn't have been.
Right.
But then had the huge win over A&M that it was an anomaly, but it was a massive win that day. And it was a great game, maybe, but some of those OU wins were great games. So I don't know. I wonder how somebody like that probably sees those as a little more equal, when I think those games were played back when he was there. I think by the time the mid-90s rolled around, Chad, the accumulation of those Aggie wins with Texas's mediocrity, the more it got removed from 83. And then we're in a decade of averageness at best. And A&M's popping off top 5, Cotton Bowl winning seasons and cheating and going on probation. And being so good that the rest of the Southwest Conference shared Texas won a Big 12 championship with a 7-5 record because A&M, who was clearly the best team in the Southwest Conference, was on probation, but they beat the hell out of everybody. It's just, I know we've taken a long time, Mike, to answer that question, but you clearly struck a nerve in me because I think it is a fascinating question.
Yeah. Sean, I lean towards sad Sooners. All right.
And I'm sad Aggie.
Yeah, couple other quick chats to clear off. Sandman, flattery will only get you put up on the board. Chad, you're not a typical Aggie. You're a Longhorn / Aggie / sheep lover at heart. You're an enigma and a gem. The world is made brighter by your presence. Thank you,
Okay,
Sandman.
Mom.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to see my mom on the show
Yeah,
today.
no, she's a lovely lady. Chad, real quick.
Yes.
I have the defining answer of the last question.
Okay.
The answer is sad A&M fan, because when sadness occurs, nobody online does sadness like Aggies do sadness on Aggie websites. They just A&M after a loss on their own websites, whether it's Texags or Aggie Yell, whatever. Nothing beats destitute Aggies letting it rip on message boards after a bad loss. And I actually don't know Oklahoma fans for that. Whatever OU fans' reputations are, and look, they haven't been bad that much. So it's not like they've had a long history in the last 25 years as the message boards have existed where they've had a reason to be really ugly. I've seen A&M fans sad. I was on the internet the day of 77-0. It doesn't get better than that. It does not get better than that. So I definitively say A&M sadness.
All right, Catch, before we hit buy or sell, there is one chat I wanted you to react to. Not this one. I'm just giving Cotton his credit. OU portal players aren't trash. Trash gets picked up. Well done, Cotton.
Damn,
well played.
Cotton? Jesus.
Well played. I did want you to comment on this one, though, Catch. Kind of back to the discussion we were having earlier. Schuler says, y'all act like OU has always recruited well. Their best teams have consisted of transfers, JUCO, and underrated high school players. Catch, I do remember back in the day, even when OU was dominating on the field, they weren't necessarily like dominating in recruiting, but just kind of weave through this comment here.
Texas used to win national championships with all white players.
Fair enough. But in terms of
Skylar, the answer is that no. When their best teams, their championship team, it's basically before the internet. It doesn't happen now. What happened in 2000, that is not college football in 2025. It would be exactly the same in 25 years ago, referencing the 1970 Texas team. You know, that's like saying in 2000 or in 1995 or something like that in the Florida State, Miami heyday. Hey, I know what you guys are saying about recruiting and what they need to do, but Texas won a national championship with a bunch of white guys. It can be done. No, it can't be done. Can't. And 25 years later, just like that, was wildly impossible 25 years later. It's kind of wildly impossible. Look, you know who else's success occurred at roughly the same time as OU's best team, and it can no longer ever be replicated? Bill Snyder in Kansas State. There are no JUCOs anymore. The JUCOs are dry. To Kansas State's credit under Climate is they've been able to redefine how to win games, but they can't do it like that anymore. You can't say, hey, you know what we need to do? Do it like Bill Snyder did it in the late 90s, early 2000s. Just go to the JUCOs and get all the Michael Bishops of the world. And it's like, well, no, Michael Bishop plays real college football and straight out of high school these days. Guys don't. Everybody qualifies. And it's a rare deal where JUCO is a thing. I mean, even 20 years ago, when Aaron Rodgers would go to a JUCO for a variety of reasons, the JUCO world is dead. And so the way to answer this question is you're laughing out loud because you say you act like OU has always recruited well. Well, Scott, like, what do you think? Caleb Williams and CeeDee Lamb and all those players that transferred out when Lincoln Riley left, they've had national top 5, top 10 level classes. So LOL at you acting like OU legitimately in the last 10 years hasn't recruited at a higher level than they were doing 25 years ago when Stoops inherited the John Blake teams. Like it's different. And so it is, you just can't, the answer is anything that involves going back more than 10 years ago just does not matter in college football in 2025. It is a different sport. Alabama and Georgia have completely and Ohio State to a certain extent. And Texas hopes that it's now joined these ranks. They've completely redefined what it takes to win championships in college football in this modern era. And unless you're Michigan, which you have to have a Hall of Fame level head coach, and then you have to have a group of seniors that includes a lot of NFL players that are high end, that have developed kind of in a once in a lifetime kind of a cycle, you can pull that off. But I don't think what OU did it can be replicated. So yeah, man. No, you know what? The teams that they've had that consisted of transfers, JUCOs, and undrafted. Is that who you think Oklahoma has been? Skylar, since when? Since when? Again, 2000, 2001. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
That's not what the Baker Mayfield team that put 55 on Georgia in a semifinal was. That's not who they were at all.
I mean, because he's right. Those teams did do it with all of those things that he's saying they did.
Right.
But again, that's as relevant as pointing out that in 1984, the starting offensive lineman weighed 260 pounds. Like, we're just too far back. It's not apples to apples anymore.
Schuler, thank you for that. All right, we got to roll towards buy or sell here in just 1 second. Before we do it, let me tell you about Sinus and Snoring Specialists, one of my favorite places in the world, because they got me breathing better and sleeping better, and it's just that simple. Got rid of the sleep apnea stuff. I sleep great. Got rid of all my allergy issues, so I don't have to worry about that. I used to worry about it at least twice a year. I know you guys go through this stuff. If you live in the greater Austin area, you know about those allergies. You'll move in and develop allergies you didn't even have. Go to Sinus and Snoring Specialists. They'll figure out exactly what you're allergic to. They'll develop a treatment that helps you get rid of those allergies for good. 601-0303. Call them or text them securely there, or go to sinussnoringent.com and start learning even more about what they can do for you. There's great videos there to check out. Tell Dr. Slaughter and the crew that you heard about it on Orange Bloods Live and get to feeling better. Sinus and Snoring Specialists. Feel clear, rested, and healthy. All right, we're going to roll through some buy or sell here because Mr. Ketchum has an appointment that he needs to make. First or second, Ketch?
I'll go first today. In fact, I accidentally clicked on it in my.
Look at
buy
you.
or sell. I didn't mean to, but I'll go first. Buy or sell number one. You know that feeling when you mean to hover over a question and then you accidentally click on it and then it doesn't show up right away, and you're like, wait a minute, I know it's going to pop up because I hit it. Vegas has set the OU over and under at wins at 6.5, and you like the over barely.
Oh, man. Yeah, I'll go ahead and buy, since technically it could be like a bowl game gets them there.
No, it's in 12.
Oh, it's got to be regular season.
It's a 12 games. It's 12.
Now I peeked at that schedule. I'll sell.
Buy or sell number two. Vegas has Texas's win total at 9.5, and you like the over.
Right now, that is a buy. I could see them losing a couple. I don't know that they're going to lose 3. So, yeah, I like the 10. I'll buy the over.
kind of feels like a sucker bet because I really feel like I'm not quite sure what to do with the OU one, but the Texas one feels like hammer the shit out of it.
Yeah.
Buy or sell number 3. Quinn Ewers is now the first guy you think of if I or someone else says the words recruiting bust.
Oh.
And if not, I'm curious who is recruiting bust all-time guy.
Yeah. Oh man. I get. Yeah. Who is it if it's not him?
It has to be a quarterback, right? You wouldn't be because I mean, maybe in the NFL we say Tony Mandarich, potentially the biggest all-time bust in the NFL, but he didn't go first. No one drafted him over Troy Aikman.
Yeah, and also recruiting bust is an interesting way to phrase that too. You're not saying like an NFL, an NFL bust or whatever. You're saying a recruiting bust. So
well,
it's
because
about
the guy that is number one over the. What we've come to know about the recruiting industry is that they look at 5-star guys as players they think are going to be first-round players. So that is the expectation. Is that
the first? Yeah, and it's going to be.
Arch will deal with this too. Arch was the number 1 player in his class. The expectation is for him to be the number 1 pick in the draft when he comes out. Now, look, if he ended up being the number 2 pick or the number 3 pick, no one would say that was a bust, but it's that level of expectation that exists. Is there anybody else that? I mean, I'll stop.
No.
Is he buy or sell?
Buy.
Okay.
He went 231 in the draft. Buy. I can't come up with any.
But I don't know who it is.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, I could get real cute, but I'm certainly not going to try to get real cute with you presenting me with the buy or sell. So I'm going to buy it. I can't think of who it would be.
There's like a part of me that wants to go like Jimmy Clausen or something like that.
Yeah,
but he went in the second round.
Yeah. No, I'm saying
and Quinn has to make an NFL team. I think that may be the thing that ultimately decides this.
Mm-hmm.
That if he makes the Dolphins, and then forget about becoming a starter, but if he sticks in the league for 10 years, then maybe that's off the table. Because at that point, Jesus, you played in the NFL for 10 years. Yeah. But if he doesn't make the team or he's 1 year and gone or becomes a practice squad guy, maybe. Sorry, Texas fans. I know maybe too soon. Buy or sell number 4. Oklahoma City is cooked after last night. So is Golden State, even though it won game 1.
Man, I'm gonna sell because of the second part. The whole Oklahoma City, and we talked about this. Is Oklahoma City ready for all this? Is Cleveland ready for all this? Is Minnesota ready?
I could have put Cleveland in this question.
Right? Are they ready for all this kind of stuff? I'll sell the second part because of Jimmy Butler, and they did win game 1. I'm not ready to totally throw Golden State away because I'm not quite sure Minnesota's ready. Minnesota had to strike in that game. They had to win it. He went out in the damn second quarter. There was no excuse. And for their best player to do nothing.
I expect Anthony Edwards to bounce back.
Nothing in that first half. I can't totally put Golden State to bed yet, but the Oklahoma City thing is wild. I can't wait to see the way they react to what happened, but I'll sell overall.
How about Indiana just putting Cleveland in their place? I thought that would be what the Celtics did potentially to Cleveland. I didn't think Indiana was going to go gangster on them in the first 2 games of that series. All right, and finally, I had this one in the queue on Monday, but Monday's show ended awkwardly. Buy or sell number 5. Crazy is Willie Nelson's song.
Man, it is.
The thing is, it's like, I don't think many people will say that Crazy is their favorite Willie song because it's a Patsy Cline song.
Right.
But he has obviously recorded it and he wrote the damn sucker, and it may be the number 1 country song of all time. I mean, He stopped loving her today. Like, it's on a level of, I don't know what to say. I said yes, but
Yeah.
it was hard for me to like not put some other songs that, all things being equal, I love of Willie.
Yeah, I mean, based on, I'll get real technical to, is Willie Nelson's best song? I'll go ahead and sell because I get the field. I'm going to sell because I get everything else to choose from. If we dug through it all, I think I could find one that I would say is a better song than Crazy. Crazy is an incredible song. I think there's some others that if you're saying best Willie Nelson song, I think we could find some others. I'll take the field.
I saw a list this weekend that had Crazy ranked as the second best country song of all time.
Wow.
I feel like if you write, he wrote the song. He wrote the song. I know it's a Patsy Cline song.
Right.
But he wrote Crazy.
It's a great song. It's a great song. I'll be cantankerous this one time, but I get what you're doing. I get what you're doing.
No, I know where you're. It's why I wanted to ask it, because I don't want it to be the answer personally.
Right. Like just right now, in terms of a Willie Nelson song, if he's going to perform all three, I think Whiskey River's better. And I think Angel Flying Too Close to the Ground is better. So I'm selling because I get those two and everything else he ever did.
Well, look.
Just me.
Am I allowed? Do I get to bring a partner with him? Because if you're giving me Ray to ride shotgun, if I get to go duet.
Right.
Personally, I am at 7 Spanish Angels.
Oh, yeah, no, and I think that's a better song. For me, that's a better song than Crazy. But
it's not a better song than Crazy.
Right.
It's
to me, it is. But again,
a more preferable Willie Nelson sung song.
Yes. I would say what it is, but what do I know? I diss Edward Norton on a regular basis. All right, Catch.
Sure, we have established that your opinion on pretty much everything is rendered useless after earlier today.
It has been suspect if it already wasn't. Do we have time for this, or you got to run?
Let's do it.
All right. Buy or sell number one. In the next 2 years, Texas makes the Final Four twice, the championship game twice, and wins the national championship.
Buy.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. How about baseball? Buy or sell number two. Texas will win the series against Florida and at OU, and they'll win the SEC outright.
Buy. I have a 2-game lead. And Arkansas' schedule is difficult. I mean, I think it's LSU and Tennessee or something. I may have that backwards, but they do close with. Is that you?
All right. That's the dog. For once, it's my dog.
I thought it was my dog, Chad, but I thought my dog was barking in your house.
Hey, stop it. All
right. Roll. Virus number 3.
All right. Number 3. Stop barking. NBA playoffs, conference semis, the road teams winning all the comebacks, last run for the TNT crew. You're in 8 out of 10 on the excitement meter.
So I'm not saying that it's not 8 out of 10, but that's not what I personally feel yet. And I feel bad because I have not been watching a lot of NBA basketball live. I have watched like the last 3 or 4 nights, some, but I didn't watch the Golden State game. Chad, I don't know if you heard, but like a week ago, literally like right now, my world changed. So I just haven't been able to watch a lot of NBA.
Trust me, I know, because the show changed pretty quickly, right as that was going down.
Thank God Anwar hasn't called today.
I remember. Right, exactly. Thank you, Anwar, for not calling today. All right, Catch, a couple of quick birthdays. Buy or sell number 4. Lance Bass just turned 46. You can name 2 other members of NSYNC.
I mean, Justin Timberlake.
That is true.
And then
I'll be impressed if you can pull this off, because I could not have pulled this off. I mean, when I hear the names, I go, oh, yeah, but I couldn't do it on demand.
The brown-haired guy.
Brown-haired guy, exactly. A lesser-known Van Morrison tune, brown-haired guy.
Yes.
Yeah. J.C. Chazé, Chris Kirkpatrick, and Joey Fatone we would have accepted. as other.
Honestly, if you did a name lineup, Fatone, I think I could have got.
Me
The
too.
other two, I would not have.
Yep, I agree. And finally, Catch, it is a voice battle. Buy or sell number 5. Adele turned 37 this week in a vocal prime on prime. At their absolute best, Adele outduels Amy Winehouse.
By like 66-3 route.
Oh, interesting.
Beat down.
Okay. I just watched, I'd never watched the Amy Winehouse documentary. I just got through it. So
I dig Winehouse, and it's not about,
right.
you know, we do these questions sometimes, and it's like, so-and-so and Celine Dion. It's like, well, okay. Or Keith Sweat and Luther Vandross. I was like, oh, okay. Well, no, hold on. Hold on. And I kind of feel like that's what we're doing with Adele.
Fair enough. Happy birthday to Adele. All right. That is all I got, Catch. You go do what you need to do. Thank y'all for liking and subscribing and getting the notifications. What's that?
You know who Adele is?
Who's that?
Just like Brent Venables is White Charlie.
Uh-huh.
Adele is White Luther.
I thought you were about to bring it full circle and say she was Ed Norton. All right. Football with friends at 6 tonight. We got Outsiders at 8:30. Going to talk quarterback room. And get this, Chance Mock is going to give you his 5 favorite backup quarterbacks of all time after what Texas did this week. You're going to want to be around for that one. Old Fashioned tomorrow at 9 a.m. All right.
Hogaboom.
Yes, exactly. He's one of my favorites. Absolutely. I hope he's on the list. Gary Hogaboom and Steve Young, and then whatever else you want. All right. Thank y'all for jumping in. Thank you for your support. We'll be back tomorrow for a Thursday show. Take care. See ya.